All right, Miss Tyson, we are live. Are you ready to kick this thing off?
I am ready. I stay ready.
Let's do it.
KTTV, giving you what you need. Motivation, education unleashed. H-Town representing, we forever keep it rolling. Join the conversation with inspirational stories. Thought-provoking, feel that energy. Kendrick Thomas aiming to lift the community. True indeed, tune in, come and see. Giving you what you need. KTTV, let's go. KTTV.
Hey! Oh, what to do, KTTV? This is KT, and I'm coming at you live with another episode of Education Unleashed. And on tonight's episode, we went international, then we bringing it back to the house, but we still international. Miss Kindall Tyson.
Hi, how you doing?
Look, I won't complain. I want to say thank you for taking some time out of the busy schedule. I know that we've been pushing for this for a while to get it done. So our stars have aligned. God said it is time. And so thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me again.
Look, how have you been? What's been going on?
I have been well. I am in the throes of what you call repatriation. For those who don't know, I lived abroad in Beijing for 6 years. I've been back in the U.S. for 4 months. And I've been adjusting to being an everyday American citizen again, living in Texas. But I'm good, like in these streets on mental health, education, connecting with people, trying to make things work. Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. I am glad we got a packed show tonight for everybody. We have all our segments. Of course, we will do our parent-teacher corner. And also, I'm excited about that because tonight we get to talk about students and supporting mental health. What other time would we do it besides with Ms. Kindall? Next, we will get into our teacher spotlight. And so we are going to my alma mater. Go Cougs. Wait a minute, though. Wait a minute. I had some haters who said, because I went to University of Downtown, Houston downtown, I can't say go Cougs. I have to say go Gators. So whatever haters, I'll say go Gators and go Cougs. But we're going to represent for U of H tonight. I'm looking forward to that. But the first thing I want to get into is a little bit of this news. Ooh. It's kind of sad. Before we do that, I don't want to get too political, but just had the presidential election. Yeah. Tell me what you think about that before we get into this news.
I am heartbroken. I'll say that.
Okay.
I'm worried, yet I know that as a people, we are going to coalesce around one another. We are going to engage in community to support one another, educate our own, and make sure that we're good. There are a lot of things that may be coming out of this president-elect. However, we still where we are right now, so we can plan. We can connect with individuals, join community, make plans for what we want it to look like. I just really encourage people to manage their mental health. I've been having clients back to back since the election was called, and it's tough in these streets right now. I just hope that we can stay hopeful, be pragmatic, and be goal-oriented, and like do the work that we need to do to stay connected with one another.
Most definitely. Because it is real out here. Things are going to change. I was looking today at the first, I guess it was the top 10 things he wanted to do. And the first one, of course, mass deportation. But the next one, let's jump into a little bit of this news, and then we can see. I'm going to say this foolishness. That's about the current our country.
Right.
Okay, let's go. Thanks, news. Wait a minute. Let me take off the branding so it'll look normal as I go. Okay, into nice news. If you know anything about Texas, we have been continuously talking about the voucher programs and how we are looking to take the money from public education to move it over to giving parents the choice
Choice.
to go to the private schools and the vouchers for those schools and all of those pieces. Well, of course, that is a Republican, and I'm just going to say it, that is a Republican agenda, because as we know, the importance of our public schools and all of the pieces that they provide. And so as President Trump gets in, like you said, Kendall, he's already been talking and doing a lot of rhetoric that's been coming out. And so this is also a part of the information he shared out. So with edweek.org, big shouts out to them. So former President Donald Trump, the decisive victory in the presidential race, Dow's political accelerant on his long articulated plans to dismantle the U.S. Department of Education.
Yeah.
That is crazy, right? And so what he wants to do, slash K-12 spending and enact a sweeping federal school choice program. According to Ryan Walters, this is one of the largest mandates in presidential history. And so one of the superintendents from Oklahoma said he's definitely laid out a plan for education. It's actually even better than it is in his first term because we're seeing more specifics. He has put himself in position to have the most effective education policy in the nation's history. And it's exciting to watch. And so if you go down a little bit, what'd you say?
I'm like, exciting for who?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. And so this is what they're saying. Let me see here. I thought I had it. Hold up. It was one place. Okay, so they said the unions, civil rights advocates are steeling themselves to make a fight for poor children of color, LGBTQ students, plus keep the federal government from shifting finances to private schools, just as a federal pandemic relief money for public schools is drying up.
Yeah.
It's getting really, really rough. And so down later in here, they're saying that because now they have control of the Senate, potentially control of the House, that there is nothing in the world to stop his agenda of taking the money away from public education and moving it over to private schools.
Yeah.
How you feeling about that? I mean, I
feel I'm like using the word terrified a lot, but it absolutely terrifies me as a product of public school education, as a former public school English teacher, public school counselor. I recognize, and I don't think people really understand just how much the federal government and public education does for our communities, our marginalized communities, our students that need support for extra services. It frightens me that the long-held hope and belief of segregation is on its way back, right? I just want people to really take a good look at the support that they're getting right now as it relates to education. You know, there's food there, you get meals, you know, there's mental health support, there's community support, there's, you know, social work, there's obviously, you know, free and publicly funded education. Anybody walking through the door is going to be supported and helped. And that's with a fully funded school, which in Texas we don't have for reasons that we all know. So I just need people to put a plan in place. We really need to get together to identify, like, what does fighting back look like? Because we're gonna have to be unified. I would do anything as it relates to supporting kids. But it's a fight from here on out because Greg Abbott is ready to go as it means to dismantle public education.
Yeah, and on a article that I used for the news a few weeks back, it was him bragging about the last term that they went up and put everything up for school choice with the vouchers. It was some of the people in his own party that denounced it and didn't support him. And so he was saying through the campaigns, he has got a lot of those people non-reelected, right? And so now we have people in that supports him. And so even inside of Texas, inside of the Congress, it's getting more and more closer to really being a reality because he's putting the people in place to say yes. And so Yeah, I'm kind of worried. I'm really worried about that because man, you think about the uproar that they did when they were closing schools in HISD, right? And so when you think about that being a reality all over the city, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And
to
then
dismantle the biggest education system, the seventh biggest in the country.
yes, yes. And then you think about the people who now will just throw up makeshift schools just to get the vouchers, right? Because we know. I've been
You know what's
today.
happening?
I've seen a YouTube video. It's an 18 minutes of PPP scammers getting arrested. So you know what's gonna happen. You know,
My
you
God.
you know,
Yeah, and
you
our kids are
know.
gonna
So,
suffer.
yes, yes. So it's real out here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that was the news for today. People, I almost said the damage is done. But look, people, we got 4 years that's about to happen.
Yeah.
Right now, as Kendall said, we are here where we at now. You got time to prepare and you got time to make decisions, understanding that there will be a time within these 4 years that your local people are coming up for election. And we
Yeah.
have to make sure that in one place or the other, we are putting people in place that go for our interests, right?
Yeah.
I tell the story all the time. One time I went and voted in a Republican primary. And so when I walked through that door, but it was about just understanding the nature of the beast. We a red state. So then as educators who will go out of the red people for our interests as educators, right? And so that's what we had to do. So it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. We gotta vote for our interests. Like we say
Yes.
this all the time. All politics is local. All politics is local. Run for the school board, run for anything, city council, show up and
Yes.
vote.
Most definitely. All right. Well, that'll do it for the news. What we'll do, let's take a quick break. And when we get back, let's get a little bit more into Ms. Kendall's story. We'll be right back. All right, y'all. Welcome back to Education Unleashed. Woo! I am here with Ms. Kindall Tyson. Tonight is all about really talking about life's transitions, mental health, education, taking care of yourself. Because right now, the mental health is, we could be on a decline, right? Just being aware of what's going on
Yeah.
around us. So I'm glad we got this right after the election so that we can
Yeah.
digest a few things. But
Yeah.
as we jump into things, I know you gave us an update of what's been going on, but I want to know. I never heard the word repatriate. So
Yeah.
as you getting back into it, what has been the hardest piece of coming back and just adjusting to Tejas?
That's a good question. I love Texas. I absolutely love living abroad. And I think one of the biggest challenges for me was really having to shift, how I saw myself, like my identity. I've been this person living out in the world for the last 6 years on my own, going wherever I want, feeling safe in the world, meeting people, educating people, talking mental health everywhere. And so to come back, it was a recalibration of who am I now and what
Mm,
does going deeper into working for myself look like. I've had my own business since 2016, and now I am fully working for myself with consulting and mental health. And so it's really having to restructure my life around this huge decision that I've made that I'm absolutely happy I made. But yeah, it's a day to day kind of like dying to myself and being open to the experience of what each
mhm.
day brings, as I'm unfolding this season of my life.
Man, and when you think about, whew, is there any part of abroad that you do miss? Like when you think of here, you like, that's not like that here. Was it the food? Is it the experience? What is?
It is the fact that I can hop on a plane and go anywhere and it's not going to cost me
Mm.
$2,000.
Wait, hey,
um,
look.
I can take a 9-hour flight to Dubai. That's a few hundred. I can go to Vietnam. I can go to
Yes.
South Korea in an hour. One of my favorite places in the world is Bali, Indonesia, and Lisbon,
Mm.
Portugal, and Florence, Italy. Those are all
Yeah.
trips within 10 hours. And
Mm.
that is one of the things I miss is
Yeah.
the affordability, the accessibility that I had to just be out in the world and coming back. It's been a huge shock for me. I didn't realize things were so expensive here, and so yeah, I'm trying to figure out.
Mhm.
Travel is an integral part of my life, so I'm trying to figure out how do
Yeah.
I keep that consistent part of my life and still thrive and run my
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. And now, the most important part of that is for the mental health aspect of that.
Yeah,
You think about that transition.
yeah,
Like you say, you think about these, and those are a lot of real feelings of this is over, this is beginning, this is so different. Oh my God.
yeah,
So as you go through all that, then how does that shape your perspective, I guess, on the mental health side of it?
yeah. I would say when I made the decision to come back, I was dealing with a lot of grief at the decision to return to the US. I know it was the right decision, but there are lots of things out of my control that were impacting my decision to return to the States, family members and work environment, and then recognizing that I'm empowered to make these decisions. I don't have to stay in a place where I don't feel welcome and my work is not appreciated. And so when I decided to come back, I was dealing with a lot of grief about my decision, like grieving the reality of maybe staying abroad and earning more money, and then coming back and adjusting, dealing with like an adjustment disorder. I'm living at my parents right now. Thank God for Philip and Christine Tyson. I appreciate
Hey,
y'all. And just really having to figure out what is my routine going to look like every day. Like I have ADHD as well. So as an adult, routines are tantamount to being able to function throughout the day. So really having to, again, recalibrate my life. My anxiety has been high. And so it's
yeah,
really been making sure to prioritize my wellness, create really good routines for myself, put some plans in place, and connect with people that want to see me win, want to support me, and that will let me just show up as my full self, crying, a little neurotic. My parents literally let me take over their dining room. Y'all see the good china back there.
hey,
Take over
hey,
the dining room as my office because my life is in such a transitory state right now. However,
yeah,
their support has allowed me to feel a lot more grounded, less overwhelmed, a little bit more in control of my life right now as I connect to these systems and people to further the work that I'm trying to do. So I feel very grateful. It's a daily thing though, One day I might wake up feeling overwhelmed and I have to really ground myself, go take a walk and recognize what led me to be able to do this thing on my own is bravery and just the Lord
yeah.
giving me the
Amen.
opportunity to have this gift. So
Yeah.
managing mental health is a daily, I don't want to say chore, it is a
Yeah.
priority.
Mm. And when you say gift, I agree with that. And so the thing is, you understand that gift and you get better at it. And so
Yeah.
for me, I believe by you going over, and this is Beijing, so going over to China, right, getting immersed in that, you really gotta live that life, right? And so now you think about in our schools, and serving our students, serving just this side of the world, then going over there, kind of adapting, serving over there. How, in your I guess in your opinion, did immersing yourself in that culture impact your personal growth and your empathy as you came back?
Oh my God, immensely. I can say that I definitely had to grow up as it relates to trusting myself,
Mm.
believing in my capability, and walking in the knowledge that I belong. A lot of individuals, a lot of Black individuals, Black women specifically, I was the only Black woman in leadership in all of the schools that I worked in. And I left Beijing at the top. I was the head high school counselor at the top international school in Beijing. And so really understanding that I'm here for a reason, and then knowing I need to walk in that because I'm here to educate, I'm here to support, I'm here to grow, building coalitions of friends and, being able to meet new people and demonstrate to other folks of other cultures that well-to-do, educated, compassionate, empathetic, knowledgeable Black women and Black people exist all over the world, right?
Yeah.
So their representation helps to break some of those stereotypes that people may have. And the fact that I'm helping you with mental health, it also helps to break some of the cultural barriers that are present as it relates to mental health and education, and that mental health is actually a thing. And giving people the opportunity to seek culturally responsive support that they may not have been able to receive before, and helping parents to kind of reimagine their parenting strategies to have healthier relationships with their family. So I really saw being over there, being immersed, being open to the culture, the food, being able to travel, connect with folks. Some of my friends, some of my best friends in China are Chinese locals, and just having a reverence and a respect for other people's cultures really helped me to appreciate not only myself and where I come from, but the deeper work that I've been able to do as I empathize with others, as I learn more about other people's cultures and how their experience through a cultural perspective impacts their life. Really taking a back step and trying to learn from the environment around me helped me to become a better professional, helped me to strengthen like the skills and the acumen that I have, and it brought out another specialty in mental health that I have. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity, because I don't think that I would have had the same opportunity and grow the same way had I stayed in the U.S.
Most definitely, yeah, and that's like you say, all about growing that gift, but the experience that it gives you. And so, thinking about being here, private school, public school settings, right? Being there, and I guess this wasn't a private school; it was a public school. Still,
no, it's private school. Like international schools
okay,
are definitely private schools.
okay. Thank you so much for that correction. So, well, then that makes it even better. So you get the private school and the public school settings, right? Thinking about getting immersed in that culture, noticing there are challenges versus being able to come back now since you've been here, getting your feedback with into our challenges. What are you seeing most commonly among, I guess, students, educators, and simple everyday lifers?
Okay, I'll say like the similarities that I noticed having worked in public school here and international schools in Beijing are students deal with the same issues. They deal with self-esteem. They struggle with interpersonal challenges. They struggle with anxiety. They struggle with depression. They struggle with self-image, family challenges, academic issues. The only difference that I really notice as it relates to students is economic status, right? Where, here in the US, it was my, by design, I only want to work in Title I schools because I want our students to receive the best of my services. And going abroad, it was a real culture shock for me working in a private school setting, because that's not ever something that I endeavored to do. And I think one of the things I had to come to terms with was the foundation of international schools is about exclusion and only supporting certain, types and classes and groups of people. So now there's this understanding of inclusion, yet we're having to teach people about empathy. We're having to teach people about bias. We're having to teach people about being culture responsive. The teachers, they vary, because abroad, a lot of them come from specific places, because the schools that I worked at or the schools in China, they want specific characteristics of people, not necessarily acumen and aptitude, but phenotypically. There is a desire for individuals from Western nations, homogenous nations, whether you are the most skilled and qualified or not. And so that was a challenge for me. So coming in as this loud, ebullient, knowledgeable Black woman, right? And spearheading, putting policies in place that lead to equity and understanding, and really having to help people shift their understanding of the work that we do. It was good work, I'll say that. So, it's honestly the things that students experience are very much the same. As just an socioeconomic difference.
And when you went through all that, did they expect you to dim your light or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And so,
Yes.
man, and so how did that work out? Did y'all kind of bump heads
Oh,
or
yes.
okay,
Um,
wow.
I would say every school that I worked in, and I didn't go looking for any of the jobs that I had. The jobs came to me through people that I knew by the grace of God. And so coming in, you have your year where you're getting the lay of the land. People are trying to feel you out. And I'm not the kind of person that comes in. I remember this one statement somebody made, just come in, shut up, put your head down, just get to work. And I'm just like, that's
Yeah.
not me. I am here
Yeah.
to shift systems. I am here to make sure that we're championing equity. I'm here to close achievement gaps. I'm here to help those who have a voice amplify their voice. Um, and in some places it worked. One thing nobody could ever say was Kindall didn't do good work. We're saving lives over here. We're helping children recognize how to take care of themselves. We're teaching parents, how to better support their students. Some of it even led to students taking leaves of absences because they're actively suicidal, yet you're now
Mm.
in a position to get some support because somebody's hearing you, they see you, they support you, they make and create a safe space for you. So coming in and disrupting systems is what my work is about as a counselor. I am a social justice advocate for students, and I did that work, and I would say majority people respected that work. You just always have your outliers that don't understand, and maybe aren't as courageous enough to come and have that face-to-face conversation because they worry. But when you see the outcome, the kids are thriving, the program is programming, we're getting international recognition, and our parents are happy. What more can you ask for?
What more can you ask for? And now looking at the way y'all were supporting over there, and just going back to your experience inside of public schools here in the U.S., do you feel that you can almost get a better handle on how schools can better support students struggling with anxiety, trauma, life adjustments? And if so, what are some of the things you would recommend now with the experience that you have?
And is this a recommendation for public schools?
Yes.
Well, provided we still have them, I'm praying to God that we still have
Hey,
them,
so
right?
yeah.
Bars.
Hey,
Um, I am definitely going to say a well-funded school is important, right? If I'm thinking about utopia, a well-funded school is important. Making sure that your school is equipped with individuals that are culturally responsive, meaning they have reverence and respect for the cultures, multiple cultures that exist in the school and the multiple identities that are in the school. We are there to create a safe space for our students and a space for community and collegiality for our educators. Additionally, making sure that you have enough counselors, qualified counselors, culturally responsive counselors in the building that are doing more counseling work than administrative work. Working in schools in the US was really challenging because the more counseling y'all want to do, I know I was a testing coordinator like my last year at the school that I worked in before I left. And while I love it because we get to, set systems in place, it's a one-track thing. And so I can't support this student that might be having home troubles or troubles with their friends and things like that.
Mhm.
So I would say making sure that let's go with the ASCA recommendation of 250 to 1, 250 students to one counselor. If we can reduce that, that's even better. Having
Yeah.
someone that's responsible for students that deal with at-risk challenges, having social emotional learning embedded into everything that's done at the school level. When I was a counselor in Psy before I left, my AP partner, Diana Bell, I love her, te quiero mucho.
Hey.
She and I were able to run a program that I started called Becoming Better Students, which is a homogenous social emotional program for some of our students that we identified that are struggling with certain interpersonal academic issues. And we were able to meet with these students monthly, have mentorship programs, teach them coping skills, give them space to open up about their lives, just be heard. And we did this with boys and girls and everybody identify in between. And with teacher support, family support, community support, more of those programs are needed for our students to be able to access their emotions in a healthy way so that they can show up well academically, because there's so much trauma and worry and anxiety and depression and self-harm that they're experiencing that they don't have a safe space to be able to process. And we have to have people in our school system, not just counselors, that are equipped with being able to support students, help to regulate students. And we need to learn how to regulate ourselves as educators. Co-regulation is key. So, I mean, I could go on and on. It starts with funding, having appropriate people that want to support the kids, that like the kids, you know, in the building, and that want to collaborate and do the work and connect with the community, because we cannot have healthy schools without community support. And all of that leads to an improvement in mental health, you know, as we connect and address the issues that we notice based off the data that we're gathering.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Okay. What we'll do, let's take a quick break. And when we get back, I want to jump into, like you say, regulating ourselves, right? And so what that looks like is parents doing this at the house. I think that's the biggest place. And so then we'll get into addressing adolescents, parenting challenges, and then also talk a little bit about managing stress and burnout in our world.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So we'll be right back.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the
Welcome back to the Education Unleashed podcast. Look, I am here with Ms. Kindall Tyson. We have been talking about international and then bringing it back home because once again, it's so good when you get to see both sides of the coin, right? And be able to talk about those experiences. So thank you for doing that. What I want to jump right back into was, I know you're doing the work as far as the consultant, and so I don't know the scope of it, but if you are working with students, parents, all of the above, what challenges are you seeing that parents are having when supporting adolescents through issues like anxiety, self-harm, or even simple motivation?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. Well, my first answer is yes. I do offer parent coaching. I offer parent classes. I work with adolescents, literally everybody. And some of the things that I noticed both here in the U.S. and abroad are, well, I'll just go with here in the U.S. The need for students to individuate can be challenging for some parents to accept. And that's a part of adolescence, that individuation, especially with the safety net, right? And doing that with compassion and empathy. I'll say, you know, as a Black woman, you know, we Black people, and we know growing up, it was, you know, you are to be seen, not heard, and talk with somebody, talk to me. And now, you know, as a therapist, it is really important for our parents to recognize that our children are people, and they have a voice, and they know so much, and they need a safe space to be able to share the things that are going on in their inner world and that they are exposed to in the world, because it is a lot. They are inundated with a lot that they don't have the developmental space to process. And so one of the most important things is, if you want your kids to talk to you, you have to create a safe, non-judgmental space for them to do so. And that does not mean you agree with everything they say. You may not even understand half of what they're talking about. But the fact that you have taken the time to hear them without yelling and shouting and judging and cutting them off is really important. And the more that we can master that, the better. Helping parents to really understand that our children, well, one, we're all dealing with a collective trauma coming out of COVID, honestly still living in COVID, and with the grief that we've experienced, the anxiety, the uptick in self-harm, the rise in depression, suicide rate amongst Black people is rising, because we have a lot of social determinants of health that impact us, that we deal with different stressors, racial traumatic stress on a daily basis. And so with helping parents to understand all of the things that even adults and children deal with. We have better ways of coping if we've learned that. Children don't have that, and a lot of them aren't being taught that. So when I talk to parents, I teach them how to regulate, acknowledge their emotions, that it's absolutely okay to be angry, to be frustrated, yet it's not okay to take that anger and frustration out on individuals that have not done anything to you. So I teach lots of people how to acknowledge what's happening, accept the emotion, and identify healthier ways of expressing that emotion. You know, we tell kids, use your words, baby, use your words. I want us to move into feel the feelings. That's a lot of what I'm teaching parents is feel. We know that you're doing good work. You're going to provide. You're working, many hours and maybe aren't spending as much time with your children. We have to be able to pause and give them time if we want them to be healthier and more connected.
Yeah, got to be time. And when you think about your experience inside of that school, I know you say you was at the high school. One thing that I am seeing is kids these days is the lack of, I guess, the motivation, right? I don't
Yeah.
know if they think it's just, I don't know. I don't remember being like this as a teenager. I was trying to get my hustle out. But a lot of these kids, right, they just coasting through. And so for adolescents struggling with that goal setting and that motivation, what strategies do you recommend to help them set realistic, meaningful goals?
Yeah, what you're saying is very true, and I think it all has a foundation of mental health, right? Are you dealing with anxiety that you're not able to process? Are you experiencing depression, which is going to result in a lack of motivation, which is going to be difficult to complete tasks and show up, right? And be the person that you were at one time when you were healthier. Are you dealing with diagnoses that you're not aware of? Like I went undiagnosed for ADHD for decades. And
Mm,
so I think once we begin to have a holistic perspective of mental health in the school, and we're doing more screenings and we're asking more questions and we're doing more targeted work, then we can, again, as we're embedding social emotional learning into every aspect of learning, not just counseling, but math and science and PE, right? Even coming to the principal, then we can teach students about the importance of what are SMART goals? What are the things that bring you joy? What are your hobbies? What is your, and this is some solution focused stuff. What is the best hope that you have for yourself, today, this week, next month, the first semester? And then we help you to map out an action plan that provides you with the appropriate wraparound support, mental health support, parental connection, community support that pushes you and motivates you in an empathetic way to keep moving. We recognize the efforts that you're doing. And when you're stepping out of line, we call you in and we
yeah,
lovingly correct you, right?
yeah.
So I would say those might be some of the things, definitely not
Mhm.
all of them.
Yeah, most definitely. Woof, but anything, because a lot of the time, my God, we be on the struggle bus, man. And so I'm beginning to be able to get back over into some of the schools because I'm at the alternative school. So now I'm about to go start going to some of the main campuses. And so I'm thinking that's gonna be my first thing. Like, how do we get these babies really motivated to get up and be here every day, right? To understand
Yeah,
that, man, you don't have to go from ninth grade to 12th grade and say it's got to be some few places in between where you can set those short terms. So yeah, that is one of my things. But more overly,
yeah,
when we look at like you say, undiagnosed, right? Or when we look at that stress or that suicide rate that's going up amongst African Americans, I think a lot of that comes from managing that stress. On the last podcast last week, we talked a lot about what stress does on the body. I talked to my um, gastro doctor a lot
yeah,
about the mind gut connection. And
yes,
so when we think about um, educators and when we think about what we're going through, as you stated, living in COVID still, right?
yes,
I got a few teachers that, I mean, it's still crazy. What advice
yeah.
do you give to those educators who are struggling with that professional stress, burnout, and anxiety?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, man. I tell you, I'll say
Hey.
one. I'll say one. Everyone that is working in public education, any kind of education, I commend you. As an individual that does too, it is hard work yet noble work. However, when you find yourself, dreading going to work, super stressed, overworked, overwhelmed, cynical, you are moving in the direction of burnout. And one thing I want people to recognize is that you cannot self care your way out of burnout. There has to be a realignment of how you are living, how you are working, the work that you are required to do. So, this is not just going to be an educator specific approach. There has to be a systemic shift as it relates to priorities and responsibilities that teachers and other educators and admin and counselors are responsible for. Yet, when you are in the building, I always like teachers, there's this term called applied relaxation. So in the building, when you're on your breaks, you're on lunch, if you don't have duty or, you have some time, how are you expending that energy? How are you completing the stress cycle? Are you affirming yourself? Are you drinking water? Are you stretching, exercising? Do you have meditative music on that helps you to kind of take a break from the chaos of the day? What does self care in the building look like? Are you eating well? These are the four basics. You need to eat well. You need to get a minimum of 8 hours of sleep. There needs to be daily exercise and hydration and healthy connection. I say 5. So assessing that, what does your self-care look like? Self-care does not have to be expensive. Self-care can be, all right, me and my co-teacher, we are going to go take a 10-minute walk, around the building or outside as we chat or listen to our music, because that is getting you involved in that aerobic exercise. Um, Again, at home, one, are you seeing a therapist to work through some of the anxiety that you might be experiencing? Are you setting small goals every day? Do you have a consistent sleep routine? And what does your community support look like? As a therapist, I always encourage people to, one, go see the doctor if you have the opportunity to, because you want to see if you are nutrient deficient. If you are, making sure that you're getting into the sun every day, especially with daylight savings time. This is the prime time for seasonal affective disorder to start hitting, or seasonal depression to start hitting. So you want to make sure you're getting sun, you're getting vitamin D, maybe having the artificial light, with you. Finding something that's going to help you to tune into yourself, if that's journaling, if that's exercising. There's so many things that we could do. We just have to kind of pause and make an intentional plan to enact that plan.
And I feel like that intentional plan has to do the same for creating that work home balance, right? And
Does that
so
exist?
as you, man, like, that's what I was going to say. So as you are in another country, right, and so you really working to make sure that you really leave impact, do your thing. I know you can get engulfed, right? Because I still get engulfed. How did you find yourself being intentional about that work home balance, even in another country where you just want to really work hard and get it done?
Yeah. One good thing is that our school, we had ASAs, or like after school things for teachers and educators. So there
Mm,
were experts in the building that maybe taught Tai Chi and yoga and Pilates and ping pong and
okay.
all kinds of stuff. And so you could sign up for things like that. I used to lead a meditation class, and I would go to a Pilates class every week. And the school that I worked at, we had the biggest school gym in the city. And so
Mhm.
I would cut my calendar off at the end of the day, the last hour of the day, unless I have like an emergency with a student. And I would go to the gym for an hour and a half, 3 to 4 times a week. That was like, I have to. And because I have so much energy throughout the day, it was important for me to jump rope. I had a jump rope in my office because I needed to exercise the energy that I had
Okay.
sitting down so much.
Yeah.
Um, One of the most important things was caring for myself outside of school. I'm terrible at setting boundaries. It's something I'm working on, because not only was I working full time, I was also seeing clients in the US on the weekend. So I made the decision that I need to reduce some of the work that I'm doing on the weekend. I cannot say yes to everything. That need to
Yeah.
prove to myself that I'm capable and worthy through my work. I really had to realign my relationship with that with my therapist. Making sure that I'm spending time with my friends outside of school. and we're not talking about school, and I get massages every week. So, and I always had a trip planned because that was important to me. So.
Yeah, most definitely. And now, as you say that, I remember my friend who stayed over there. She went to Bali a lot, so I guess it was
Yes.
like, I mean, it was at one
Indonesia
point
is
she
the
was
place.
like a long time. I was like, wow. She's like, yeah, it's cheap. And so, all right, well, I guess as we get ready to land this plane, and we're closing out, for anybody that's experiencing racial traumatic stress, professional anxiety, what would be your words to those people to get better? What would be the first thing they would need to do?
One, I would say know yourself, know your value, know the things that are important to you, assess that first, and then based off of that, it is aligning that with what's happening in your life, right? Making sure that you are doing work that you feel aligns with your, life perspective, values, giving back to the world, connecting to safe community, making sure that you are engaged with your wellness, making sure that you're giving back because as we volunteer, we help ourselves. Addressing the feelings that you have as opposed to numbing them through substances or other things. Like Solange say, I ain't gonna sing the song. Y'all know the song I'm talking about, Crazy Sky. Yeah. Making sure that you're getting support. You are deserving of support. You do not have to struggle to prove that you are worthy. There are people that look like me in this world professionally giving help because we want our community to be well, right? We do our best to break the stigma of mental health. So, one of the things for sure is connecting to a professional, processing the emotions that you have, making a plan, and executing that plan. And as always, connecting to safe community. We heal in community. It is safe for you to acknowledge I'm anxious. I am feeling worried about my life, right? It's easier for us to move through those things when we have someone in our lives, intimately and professionally, to be able to process and create a plan of action.
Most definitely. And if we want to look you up to know more about Aspire Counseling and Wellness Center, well, give us the information.
Okay, well, you can go to my website. It is aspirecounselingwell.com. You can find me on Instagram at aspire_counselingwell. That's the same as my YouTube handle. I'm trying to think, where else do I be? I'm on Twitter all the time. I don't even know what that Twitter handle is. And Facebook, it is Aspire CWC. I do a lot of things. I love talking. I love coaching. Obviously, I love mental health. I love working with educators and students. So check me out.
That's it. All right, what we'll do, let's take a quick break. And then when we get back, we'll jump into our parent teacher corner. And then we'll get a little bit more info from you. So we will be right back.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and I get it up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and
Oh man, parent teacher corner, let's go. Ooh, that little girl look like she can get at work in that classroom.
Making them A's.
All right, so in tonight's parent teacher corner here on Education Unleashed, we're talking about an incredibly important topic, supporting student mental health. So both parents and teachers play a critical role in fostering a positive environment for students' mental well-being. Yeah. But with so many demands on young people today, it's essential that we work together to provide the guidance and support they need to thrive emotionally and academically. And so what I want to do was just go through a few tips that I have for, I guess, educators and parents. And so as we go through these, mental health special person, please chime in on anything that we have. All right, okay. So for me, part one is simply just recognizing the signs of stress and anxiety in the students, right? So one of the first steps we can take is learning to recognize the signs of stress and anxiety in students. As adults, we know what stress can, that stress can show up in different ways, whether it's withdrawal, trouble concentrating, irritability, or even physical symptoms like stomach aches. Because we know
Yeah.
that young man who he be at the
Yeah.
nurse every day. He really just trying to escape something. So when parents and teachers can identify these signs early, we are in a better position to help. What you think?
Yeah. Oh, I fully agree with you. Recognizing that it can be a whole host of things. And the most important thing is to not be in denial. Oh, my child is fine. Ma'am, no, he's not.
Yeah, yeah. I see him
And
every day.
right, right. And being
Yeah,
open to understanding that if they have an issue, there is nothing wrong with them. They just need support.
yes. All right. Now, for my tips for parents, here are a few ways that you can support your child's mental health. One is to open their dialogue. Remember what she said, in a go, go, go world, sometimes you have to just be intentional about stopping, taking their time, and checking in a non-judgmental way. So keep
Yeah.
the conversations open and judgment free. Ask your child regularly about their feelings and listen to them without jumping to solutions. The next one is encourage balance. Help your
Yeah.
child find balance between the school activities and that downtime. So sometimes I know we want to keep them busy, but overscheduling can add unnecessary pressure.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah, man.
For sure.
And model healthy coping mechanisms. My
Mhm.
friend said this last week, and he was in Ireland. What was the biggest thing? He said, "Be the leader, model." Because we talked about eating habits. He said, "You got to eat better first to be able to model, so to give them what they see, because they do what
Yeah.
you do, not what you say."
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So share ways you handle stress, whether it's through exercise, journaling, or mindfulness, because
Yeah.
kids will pick up on these examples. What you think?
Yes.
Anything else for the parents?
I absolutely say that regulation, learning the importance of co-regulation. A dysregulated child cannot regulate when a parent is dysregulated as well. So learning how to engage your relaxation response through breathing, checking in with yourself, being mindful, and recognizing that it can be a community effort, it can be a family effort, and asking your child like, how can I help you? Right? What are things that I can do to better show up for you? And also being open to what their perspective and responses will be. We treat our children like the people that they are. They are autonomous
Yeah.
humans with
Mhm.
boundaries, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Most definitely. Most definitely. And that is the way I get in, because I know that you are a child, but I'm gonna really just treat you like that person, and I'm gonna let you have that freedom, right? As a growing, thinking being, right? And so I think that's how I get a
yeah.
lot of in with them. The next one are tips for teachers, because we know
Okay.
we with the
Hey,
kids
Chris.
a whole lot of time, right? So the
Yeah.
biggest piece, number one, create a safe space for expression. Encourage students to share their thoughts and their feelings through class discussions, journals, or even a private check-in system.
Yeah.
Number two, teach mindfulness or relaxation techniques, right? So simple
Yes.
breathing exercises or moments of quiet reflection, which can go a long way in helping students reset and
Yeah.
refocus. Lastly, maintain a positive, predictable routine.
Yes.
Structure and positivity can be incredibly comforting. Try to
Yeah.
maintain routines, use consistent language that builds student confidence. I think you talked about all those as we
Yeah.
do tonight. Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, can I add one more?
Yes, most
It's
definitely, please.
definitely making sure that we're being respectful of everyone's experiences, right? Making sure that we're creating one of the skills I like to teach or strategies that I ask teachers to do is creating some sort of calm down sensory corner in their rooms, and teaching kids how to be respectful of their space. After we're teaching them these regulation skills, helping them to become masters of regulation for themselves. So the more that we
Yeah.
model and the more that we make it embedded into what we're doing, the less stigma is attached to it when they need to go care for
Most definitely. All right. I think man, that covered the bases really. So when parents and teachers prioritize mental health, we show students that their well-being matters. No more, no
themselves.
less. Just as much
Yes,
as their academic success. Working together, we can help build resilience, reduce stress, and create a supportive environment where students feel comfortable seeking help when they need it. So as we get ready to wrap this up, thank everybody for listening to that. If you have any thoughts or strategies on what you found helpful, please give us a comment below, leave a message, hit us up on kttv.com, because what it takes is everybody working together to create safe, supportive spaces for our students, right? We can't do that in solitude. It has to be a full picture, like you say, holistically. All right. I think that'll do it. Let's take another quick break, and then we will do our teacher spotlight. All right. So, whoa. Be right back. All right. Outstanding educator. Let's go. All right, tonight, our outstanding educator goes to Miss Jacqueline Cooper. She's a University of Houston professor of English. Go Cougs. She was nominated by Mr. Andres Jones, which is her spouse. He says she is very thorough and supportive of her students. She will work with students even after class is over. She is dedicated to teaching and make students better. And in the personal message, she says she inspires me to look for the positive in people, and I envy the job she does and all the work she has done to become a great college professor. So big shouts out to Miss Jacqueline. Look, man, give people their flowers while they are living, because it is very, very important, which is why I started this. I always wanted kids to see us as people, right? And so that means we got to show our human side, but we also have to lift each other up, because the work we're doing out here is real. I think that'll do it for us. We have 56 minutes. We pushing this thing. Any final words before we close this thing out, Ms. Kim?
Well, one, I want to say thank you for having me on again. I'm always excited about, connecting and sharing. And I really want people to know that you have everything you need to live a healthy life, and that there is support out there for you. Take care of your mental health, prioritize your mental health, and make sure that you are in a safe, supportive community.
Man, I could dig that. All right. Well, I think that will do it. Thank you for tonight. Like, really, so much good information. Use a lot of SAT words. I was like, hey, you did that. I was like, wow, that's another one. But overall, thank you for the information that you gave out. Very important. And so I look forward to the biggest piece always is breaking it down and sharing those clips, because as you know, like you say, you got ADHD. So get in there, give me what I need. Because that's what we're living in. So that'll be the work that we'll go do next. I'll break this down and get it out. But once again, just thank you for the work. And I look forward to number 3 real soon.
Yes, for sure.
Hey, there we go. All right, y'all. This is KT for KTTV signing out. 100.
This is Darnell with Broadcast Houston.
This is Dr. Tamara Beckford.
Hey, this is Candace.
This is London Underwood.
This is Kirsten Bass with Inner City Greens, and you're watching.
Y'all are now tuned in to
KTTV.
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 KTTV.